Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Omni viewer. And not too long before this video's posting, another update was made to generative AI with the usual narrative about how this is the best AI has ever looked, and traditional art is over, Hollywood is cooked, AI is going to take over everything. You know it by now. It's the same darned narrative every single time. The same one that I should mention has yet to actually come true. We still have not been replaced by anything. We are still making our different forms of media, our books, our videos, our movies, our paintings, and so forth. All of us who do that sort of thing are still doing them that same old way for the most part. And yet, the narrative with AI keeps being pushed. I don't believe it. I've never believed it, and I don't think anyone should really believe it anymore, not even with this most recent update. Yes, the recent update, the sizzle reels they put up on TwitX and everything, they still have their problems, but sure, they look a little bit better than they did, say, a year ago. But there's still not quite to a point where I think they're going to replace anyone, and I don't think it's ever going to happen. In fact, a little bit of an update here. In one of my earlier videos about AI generation and how I don't think it's going to replace people in the arts, it's at best going to become a tool, and only one that's used optionally at that. I made a little bit of a prediction. I said that at some point, somebody's going to make the first fully AI generated movie, and it's going to be so bad that it'll pretty much kill AI generated movies from that point forward. Now, that was a little while ago. It's actually come true at this point. Twice, in fact. There are two completely AI generated movies out there right now: Where the Wild Robots Grow and the Safe Zone, I believe it's called. You've never heard of those? Of course you haven't. They've been buried because they are terrible. Like, hardly anybody has seen them, for one thing. Those who have forced themselves to sit through these things pretty much agree they're not good, especially Where the Wild Robots Grow. We've also gotten an anime that claims to be AI generated, although that's somewhat misleading. It does still use AI, though, and even that's something that nobody is watching. Like, if we've had our watershed moments here, right? The fully AI generated movies have happened. So why hasn't AI taken over the film industry yet? It's because it's no good. Like, these works are terrible, and I have to assume that even the people who support AI must agree, because they're not promoting these things either. That doesn't scare me. We've had our moment. We've had it happen multiple times. Why should I think that AI is going to replace me if it's already happened? And AI continues to have a bad reputation. In fact, that actually raises an interesting question. Why hasn't AI taken over yet anyway? I mean, I view it kind of like the Force in Star Wars. The dark side is not stronger, but it's quicker and easier. AI is quicker and easier than making entertainment the old fashioned ways. So, why hasn't it taken over yet? Well, if you really look around and you take in all these different elements, you'll understand why. Let's look at the different groups involved in this whole thing. So first we have the tech people, the people who always are there to post the latest updates and examples of just how wonderfully, amazingly wonderful AI generation is and how it's going to replace humans in the arts. Now, they are tech people. They're not artists. So they are not going to be using this to make art. Plain and simple. They're only interested in AI generation as a piece of technology. So when there's an update, they will be there to show us what that update is capable of. and then they're going to move on, and they won't be back until the next update so they can do it all over again. They're not going to make a novel or a movie or a painting or something, because that's not their field. That's not what they're interested in. They are interested in technology. So they're clearly not going to use AI or for that end. So they're not going to contribute to AI replacing real artists. Speaking of whom, we have the traditional artists in the field, and they can be split into two categories. You have the super traditional artists, such as myself, the people who are staunchly against using AI. We have no interest in using it whatsoever. We're going to keep doing our stuff the old fashioned way, and we're going to get the results however long it takes. Then you have people who are perhaps a little more moderate and figure they can use AI as a tool, maybe for very specific things if they want to, but they're not necessarily going to, but they like having the option. So they're not fully against AI in that sense, but they're not fully embracing it either. They're just using it as a part of the process and an optional part at that. The third category we can find are the people who are the self-proclaimed AI artists. They're the ones who use AI generation for everything that they do. And are they going to glut the market with slop? Yes, they already are, in fact. Are they actually going to replace anybody? No, because slop is slop at the end of the day. People might gobble it up for a little bit, but they're going to get sick of it, and they're going to want something that's of actual quality. That's the thing. The AI artists, as they call themselves, they are interested in quantity, not quality. They will pump out as much as they can without really making sure it's good. And sure, that means they might produce more of something than a traditional artist could. But so what? There's a reason that like 10 pounds of fool's gold is not as valuable as 1 pound of real gold, because real gold is where the actual value is. AI slop is fool's gold. No matter how much of it you put out, it's not going to have the same level of value as something that's man-made. So that bubble is eventually going to burst. It's going to go the way of the NFT. I am fairly certain of that. But there's one last group we need to consider. What about the big corporations and the studios? Because part of the anti-AI narrative is that we are living in a dystopia fueled by late-stage capitalism, and the big bad corporations and studios are going to embrace AI because they are all about maximum output at minimum cost, and AI generation would allow them to do that without having to deal with those snooty artistic types. Yet, even the corporations haven't fully pulled the trigger on AI yet. You'd think they would have by now, but why not? I would say it's a matter of optics. See, the few times that a company or a studio has been caught using generative AI, there's always been backlash. Do you remember when the Disney Plus streaming service aired Marvel's Secret Invasion? Yeah, I know. It was very forgettable. Nobody really remembers it. When it was new, though, everybody was talking about it. And one of the things that was critiqued, because there was a lot to critique about that show, barely anybody liked it. I don't even think the most diehard MCU fans really cared for it. But the opening credit sequence got a backlash entirely unto itself because it was AI generated. And people did not like that. Of the many, many things that people did not like about Secret Invasion, that got particular focus. Or just last year, Coca-Cola, for the holiday season, released a Christmassy AI generated commercial that made people all over the world crave Pepsi. It was not well received. So that means the optics are bad here. If AI generation was liked, if the general public embraced it wholeheartedly, or heck, even if they were just indifferent to it, then maybe we would have seen more big companies starting to use it in place of real people. But there's a negative aura surrounding the whole thing. And that negative aura always leads to backlash, and backlash will affect the bottom line. So there's just too much of a risk at this point, a financial risk specifically, because you could lose money if you lose your audience because they don't want to deal with you anymore because they caught you using AI. In a weird way, capitalism is actually fortifying the gates against AI, at least for the moment. So when you look at all of this stuff and you put it all together, you will see that really at this point, there's no risk of AI generation replacing anybody in the arts. Could AI and automation in general replace other jobs? Sure. But arts and entertainment, I don't think so. Eventually, the hype will die down. The bubble will finally burst. It's a slow bursting at this point, but it will eventually be completed. AI will find its place, or rather be put in its place, and it's not going to be the chair I'm sitting in, I can tell you that. AI generation, at best, is going to be a tool that some people use, but it's not going to be something that will ever take the place of real people. Now, there might be some moments where it seems like that might happen, but I'm confident it's not going to in the long run. We'll see if I'm right, though. Until such time as we meet. You see, because I'm a human, I can make a mistake like that, and I can just keep going, get right back into it, and say, until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.